Marie Bernarde Bernadette Soubirous was the firstborn daughter of a miller from Lourdes, France, and is venerated as a Christian mystic and saint in the Catholic Church. Soubirous is best known for her participation in the Marian apparitions of a small young lady, who asked for a chapel to be built at the nearby garbage dump of Cave-grotto within Massabielle, where apparitions are said to have occurred between February 11 and July 16, 1858. She would later receive recognition when the lady who appeared to her identified herself as the Immaculate Conception. Despite initial skepticism from the Catholic Church, Soubirous's claims were eventually declared worthy of belief after a canonical investigation, and the Marian apparition is now known as Our Lady of Lourdes. Since her death, Soubirous's body has apparently remained internally incorrupt, but it is not without blemish. During her third exhumation in 1925, the firm of Pierre Emmons made light wax coverings for her face and her hands due to the discoloration that her skin had undergone. These masks were placed on her face and hands before she was moved to her crystal reliquary in June 1925. The Marian shrine at Lourdes went on to become a major pilgrimage site, attracting over 5 million Christian pilgrims of all denominations each year. On December 8, 1933, she was canonized by Pope Pius XI as a saint of the Roman Catholic Church. Her feast day is observed on April 16, yet observed on February 18 in her native France. Early stages of her life. Bernadette was the daughter of Bernadette Soubirous, a miller, and his wife Louise, a laundress, and was the eldest of 9 children. Bernadette, Jean, Toinette, Jean-Marie, Justin, Pierre, Jean, and a baby girl named Louise who died soon after her birth. Bernadette was born on January 7, 1844, and baptized at the local parish church, St. Pierre's, on January 9, her parents' wedding anniversary. Bernadette's godmother was Bernarde Castret, her mother's sister, a moderately wealthy widow who owned a tavern. Hard times had fallen on France and the family lived in extreme poverty. Bernadette was a sickly child. She contracted cholera as a toddler and suffered severe asthma for the rest of her life. Bernadette attended the day school conducted by the Sisters of Charity and Christian Instruction from Nevers. Visions. By the time of the events at the grotto, her family's financial and social status had declined to the point where they lived in a one-room basement, formerly used as a jail, called La Cacotte, the dungeon, where they were housed for free by her mother's cousin, André Sajou. On February 11, 1858, Bernadette, then aged 14, was out gathering firewood with her sister Marie and a friend near the grotto of Massabielle when she had her first vision. As she recounted later, while the other girls crossed the little stream in front of the grotto and walked on, Bernadette stayed behind, looking for a place to cross where she wouldn't get her stockings wet. She finally sat down in the grotto to take her shoes off in order to cross the water and was lowering her first stocking when she heard the sound of rushing wind, but nothing moved. A wild rose in a natural niche in the grotto, however, did move. From the niche, or rather the dark alcove behind it, came a dazzling light, and a white figure. This was the first of 18 visions of what she referred to as Aquaro 3/4 E, gas on Occitan for that. In later testimony, she called it a small young lady. Her sister and her friends stated that they had seen nothing. On February 14, after Sunday Mass, Bernadette, with her sister Marie and some other girls, returned to the grotto. Bernadette knelt down immediately, saying she saw Aquaro again and falling into a trance. When one of the girls threw holy water at the niche and another threw a rock from above that shattered on the ground, the apparition disappeared. Bernadette fell into a state of shock and the girl who had thrown the rock thought she had killed her. On her next visit, February 18, she said that the vision asked her to return to the grotto every day for a fortnight. This period of almost daily visions came to be known as La Quinzaine Sacra Copyright Holy Fortnight. Initially, her parents, especially her mother, were embarrassed and tried to forbid her to go. The local police commissioner called her into his office and threatened to arrest her, as did the district attorney, but since there was no evidence of fraud there was little they could do. The girl herself remained stubbornly calm and consistent during her interrogations, never changing her story or her attitude, and never claiming knowledge beyond what she said the vision told her. The supposed apparition did not identify herself until the 17th vision. Although the townspeople who believed she was telling the truth assumed she saw the Virgin Mary, Bernadette never claimed it to be Mary, consistently using the word acro. She described the lady as wearing a white veil, a blue girdle and with a yellow rose on each photo compatible with a description of any statue of the Virgin in a village church. Bernadette's story caused a sensation with the townspeople, who were divided in their opinions on whether or not Bernadette was telling the truth. Some believed her to have a mental illness and demanded she be put in an asylum. She soon had a large number of people following her on her daily journey, some out of curiosity and others who firmly believed that they were witnessing a miracle. The other contents of Bernadette's reported visions were simple and focused on the need for prayer and penance. On February 24, she reported that Acro had said Penitna section O. Penitna section O. Penitna section O. That day Bernadette kissed the muddy ground of the grotto. The next day she went further, and during her trance, chewed and ate grass she plucked from the ground. She then rubbed mud over her face and swallowed some mud, to the disgust of the many onlookers and the embarrassment of those who believed in her visions. She explained that the vision had told her to drink of the water of the spring, to wash in it and to eat the herb that grew there, as an act of penance. To everyone's surprise, your next day the grotto was no longer muddy but clear water flowed. On March 2, at the 13th of the alleged apparitions, Bernadette told her family that the lady said that a chapel should be built and a procession formed. Accompanied by two of her aunts, Bernadette went to parish priest, Father Dominique Piromale with the request. A brilliant but often rough-spoken man with little belief in claims of visions and miracles, Piromale told Bernadette that the lady must identify herself. Bernadette said that on her next visitation she repeated the priest's words to the lady but that the lady bowed a little, smiled and said nothing. Then Father Piromale told Bernadette to prove that the lady was real by asking her to perform a miracle. He requested that she make the rose bush beneath the niche flower in the last week of February. Her 16th claim vision, which she stated went on for over an hour, was on March 25. During this vision Bernadette was holding a liter candle. It burned down and the flame was said to be in direct contact with her skin for over 15 minutes but she apparently showed no sign of experiencing any pain or injury. This was said to have been witnessed by many people present, including the town physician, Dr. Pierre Romain Dozes, who timed and later documented it. It is unclear if observers other than Dozes were sufficiently close to witness if the candle was continuously in contact with Bernadette's skin. According to Bernadette's account, during that same visitation, she again asked the woman for her name but the lady just smiled back. She repeated the question 3 more times and finally heard the lady say, in Gascon Occitan, "I am the Immaculate Conception." 4 years earlier, Pope Pius IX had defined the dogma of the Immaculate Conception, that, alone of all human beings who have ever lived, the Virgin Mary was conceived without the stain of original sin. Her parents, teachers and priests all later testified that she had never previously heard the expression Immaculate Conception from them. Some of the people who interviewed her after her revelation of the visions, thought her simple-minded. However, despite being rigorously interviewed by officials of both the Catholic Church and the French government, she stuck consistently to her story. Her behavior during this period is said to set the example by which all who have claimed visions and mystical experiences are now judged by church authorities. Results of her visions: among the reported visions of Jesus and Mary, Bernadette's visions can be viewed as being at a high level of significance. In the 150 years since Bernadette dug up the spring, 69 cures have been verified by the Lourdes Medical Bureau as inexplicable, but only after what the Church claims are extremely rigorous scientific and medical examinations that failed to find any other explanation. The Lourdes Commission that examined Bernadette after the visions also ran an intensive analysis on the water and found that, while it had a high mineral content, it contained nothing out of the ordinary that would account for the cures attributed to it. Bernadette herself said that it was faith and prayer that cured the sick. Her request to the local priest to build a chapel at the site of her visions eventually gave rise to a number of chapels and churches at Lourdes. The sanctuary of Our Lady of Lourdes is now one of the major Catholic pilgrimage sites in the world. One of the churches built at the site, the Basilica of St. Pius X, can itself accommodate 25,000 people and was dedicated by the future Pope John XXII when he was the papal nuncio to France. Close to 5 million pilgrims visit Lourdes every year, with individuals and groups coming from all over the world. Within France, only Paris has more hotels than Lourdes. In 2008, the 150th anniversary of the 1858 apparitions to Bernadette, it was expected that 8 million pilgrims would visit Lourdes during the year. Lourdes is now a major center where Catholic pilgrims from around the globe reaffirm their beliefs as they visit the sanctuary. Later years, disliking the attention she was attracting, Bernadette went to the hospice school run by the Sisters of Charity of Nevers where she finally learnt to read and write. She then joined the sisters at their mother house at Nevers at the age of 22. The Mother Superior at the time gave her the name Marie Bernarde in honor of her godmother who was named Bernarde. She spent the rest of her brief life there, working as an assistant in the infirmary and later as a sacristan, creating beautiful embroidery for altar cloths and vestments. She later contracted tuberculosis of the bone in her right knee. She had followed the development of Lourdes as a pilgrimage shrine while she still lived at Lourdes, but was not present for the consecration of the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception there in 1876. She eventually died of her long-term illness at the age of 35 on April 16, 1879. Her body was laid to rest in the St. Gildard convent. Sainthood: Bernadette Soubirous was declared venerable by Pope Pius X, and blessed on June 14, 1925, by Pope Pius XI. She was officially canonized as saint by Pope Pius XI on December 8, 1933. The year 2009 was declared the year of Bernadette. Exhumations: Bishop Gorthy of Nevers and the Church exhumed the body of Bernadette Soubirous on September 22, 1909, in the presence of representatives appointed by the postulators of the cause, 2 doctors and a sister of the community. They claimed that although the crucifix in her hand and her rosary had both oxidized, her body appeared incorrupt or preserved from decomposition. This was cited as one of the miracles to support her canonization. They washed and reclothed her body before burial in a new double casket. The church exhumed the corpse a second time on April 3, 1919. A doctor who examined the body noted, "The body is practically mummified, covered with patches of mildew and quite a notable layer of salts, which appear to be calcium salts. The skin has disappeared in some places, but it is still present on most parts of the body." In 1925, the church exhumed the body for a third time. They took relics, which were sent to Rome. A precise imprint of the face was molded so that the firm of Pierre Emmons in Paris could make a wax mask based on the imprints and on some genuine photos to be placed on her body. This was common practice for relics in France as it was feared that the blackish tinge to the face and the sunken eyes and nose would make an unpleasant impression on the public. Imprints of the hands were also taken for the presentation of the body and the making of wax casts. The remains were then placed in a gold and crystal reliquary in the chapel of Saint Bernadette at the Mother House in Nevers. 3 years later in 1928, Dr. Comte published a report on the exhumation of Blessed Bernadette in the second issue of the Bulletin de l'Association Médicale de Notre-Dame de Lourdes. "I would have liked to open the left side of the thorax to take the ribs as relics and then remove the heart which I am certain must have survived. However, as the trunk was slightly supported on the left arm, it would have been rather difficult to try and get at the heart without doing too much noticeable damage." As the Mother Superior had expressed a desire for the saint's heart to be kept together with the whole body, and as Monsignor the Bishop did not insist, I gave up the idea of opening the left-hand side of the thorax and contented myself with removing the 2 right ribs which were more accessible. What struck me during this examination, of course, was the state of perfect preservation of the skeleton, the fibrous tissues of the muscles, of the ligaments, and of the skin, and above all the totally unexpected state of the liver after 46 years. One would have thought that this organ, which is basically soft and inclined to crumble, would have decomposed very rapidly or would have hardened to a chalky consistency. Yet, when it was cut it was soft and almost normal in consistency. I pointed this out to those present, remarking that this did not seem to be a natural phenomenon. In media, in 1909 the French short movie Bernadette Soubirous et les apparitions de Lourdes, directed by Honore copyright Les Arblés, is the first attempt to tell with the new cinematographic art the story of Bernadette, according to RE3 documentary Lourdes. La Storia. In 1929 the French film La vie merveilleuse de Bernadette directed by Georges Palou and starring Alexandra as Bernadette. In 1935 the Portuguese Georges Palou directed La Vierge du Rocher with Micheline Masson in the role of Bernadette. Her life was given a fictionalized treatment in Franz Werfel's novel, The Song of Bernadette, which was later adapted into a 1943 film of the same name starring Jennifer Jones as Bernadette. Jones won the Best Actress Oscar for this portrayal. In 1961 Damia copyright Lagerat portrayed Bernadette in Bernadette of Lourdes of Gilbert Cruzbercubden. Cristina Galbercubed portrayed Aquella Joven de Blanco, Spain, 1965, directed by Lee Cubden Klimovsky. In 1967 a French TV movie L'Affaire Lourdes directed by Marcel Blum and starring Marie Ha copyright Lani Braillet as Bernadette. In 1981 Andrea Del Boca portrayed Bernadette in a homonymous Argentine TV movie directed by his father Nicola S. Del Boca. Bernadette in 1988 and La Passion de Bernadette in 1989 by Jean Delanoy, starring Sidney Penny in the lead role. In 1990 Fernando Uribe and Stephen Hahn directed a short animated film, Bernadette, La Princesa de Lourdes, produced by John Williams and Jorge Gonzalez, available in English since 1991 with the title Bernadette the Princess of Lourdes. Angela Osinski starring Saint Bernadette in Italian TV movie Lourdes, 2000, by Lodovico Gasparini. In 2007 an Indian film Our Lady of Lourdes directed by V. R. Gopinath and starring Asha Noyce. In 2008 Catherine Ulbrich and Philippe Cabodoc directed 1858, Le Film des Apparitions with a small child Camille in the role of Bernadette. In 2011 a French short film Grotte Profonde, Les Hommes du Gouffre directed by Pauline Kernier-Jardin and starring Simon Freyvager. In 2011 a French film Je m'appelle Bernadette directed by Jean Sagles and starring Keisha Cuyuc. Irving Wallace's 1984 fictional novel, The Miracle, tells the tale of Saint Bernadette's purported private diaries forecasting a second coming of Mary to the grotto, prompting renewed interest in her story and pilgrims to Lourdes. Bernadette's actual journal and letters do not contain this prediction. An opera The Joy of Bernadette composed by Sonia Carlson, see also. Incorruptibility, Lourdes Medical Bureau, Lourdes Apparitions, Our Lady of Lourdes, Song of Bernadette, The Village of Saint Bernadette, Notes and References. Bibliography, Taylor, Thar copyright Race. Bernadette of Lourdes. Burns and Oates. ISBN A0-86312-337-5 Lourdes, in Bernadette's Footsteps, by Father Joseph Boards, copyright 2005 by MSM Company tells Bernadette's story, and describes the tourism at Lourdes. The Song of Bernadette Franz Werfel's classic abridged by John Martin, Bernadette of Lourdes, Visage de Bernadette, The Song of Bernadette, 1942, A la Gladoulis de Marie, August 15, 1926, Bernadette of Lourdes, 1955, Lourdes, Its Inhabitants, Its Pilgrims, and Its Miracles, 1888, The Wonders of Lourdes, 1875, Annales de Notre Dame de Lourdes, Lourdes 1871, The Wonders of Massabielle at Lourdes, 1925, Notre Dame de Lourdes, Paris 1870, Bernadette, Paris 1879, Our Lady of Lourdes, June 1906. The Miracle joined at Lourdes from essays by Will C. Teller, copyright 1945 by The Truth Seeker Company, Incorporated. Critique of the Lourdes Story. Our Lady of Lourdes, 1875, La Sainte Vierge à Lourdes, 1877, Das Lied von Bernadette, 1953, The Happening at Lourdes, 1967, Lourdes, 1999, After Bernadette, 1945. and I shall be healed, 1960, Saint Bernadette, 1964, 15 Days of Prayer with Saint Bernadette of Lourdes, 1999, A Queen's Command, 1947, Bernadette, 1958, A Holy Life, Saint Bernadette of Lourdes, 2005, The Story of Bernadette, 1997, The Wonder of Lourdes, 1926, Lourdes, 1895. Bernadette Speaks, A Life of Saint Bernadette Soubirous in her own words, Rena copyright Laurentin, Pauline Books and Media, 2000. Saint Bernadette, 1957, Bernadette of Lourdes, 1914, Bernadette of Lourdes, 2003, Lourdes, 2000, The Miracle of Bernadette, 1958, My Witness, Bernadette, 1951, Saint Bernadette Soubirous, 1844 Euro 1879, by Abbé François Trocou, TAN Books and Publishers, Incorporated, 1957. We Saw Her, 1953, Magazines and Articles, Illustration Journal Universal Story covering Bernadette and apparitions from Time of Apparitions, Election of Pope Pius X, The Graphic England, The Illustrated London News Funeral of Pope Pius IX, La Nación Euro Buenos Aires, Argentina, The New York Times Pope Pius X dies, The London Illustrated News The Election of Pope Pius XI, L'Opinion Publique The Funeral of Pope Pius IX, The Illustrated London News The Conclave and Election of the Pope, The Graphic with the Lourdes Pilgrims, Harper's Weekly French Pilgrims A Euro-Romish Superstitions, The Graphic A Trip to the Pyrenees, Harper's Weekly The Last French Miracle A Euro recounts actual happenings at the time of apparitions, St. Paul Dispatch Throne of St. Peter made vacant by the death of Pope Leo XIII, St. Paul Dispatch Cardinal Sarto of Venice called to Throne of St. Peter, the Minneapolis Journal Pope Pius X is reported dead. Relapse caused by grief over war, Caroline, external links, Lourdes and Bernadette detailed chronology of the apparitions, with many pictures. Biography of Bernadette Soubirous includes referenced quotes by Bernadette. The body of Saint Bernadeta Euro includes reports of her exhumation and photographs of her body and tomb. Life and background to Bernadette Soubirous of Lourdes, notes on the investigation, including facsimile of notes taken during an interview with Bernadette, Catholic Encyclopedia, Notre Dame de Lourdes, Bernadette Soubirous. Find a grave. Retrieved August 11, 2010 A.